Welcome back to Talkin' Winter Ops and our special series highlighting organizations working in the winter operations and road weather space. I'm Rick Nelson, and on behalf of the AASHTO Committee on Maintenance, their Maintenance Operations Technical Working Group, and the Winter Weather Management Technical Service Program, we're proud to host the 2024 National Winter Maintenance and Road Weather Briefing. These briefings give organizations an opportunity to showcase their efforts to help you achieve your winter maintenance mission. Today, we're featuring the Transportation Research Board's Road Weather Committee, and with us is Committee Chair Paul Pisano. Hi, Paul.
Hey, Rick.
Hey, so Paul, before we get started, tell us a little bit about the Road Weather Committee and maybe fill us in on what you've been doing this past year.
Yeah, been a lot going on across a lot of different areas within the committee, and I'm happy to give you an update on that. So first and foremost, I just wanted to remind everybody what our committee is all about. So this is our outlook statement from triennial strategic plan, and it really is, it's very broad. It's looking at how weather affects roads, and our efforts to promote research that will help us better understand weather, its connection with the safe and efficient movement of people and goods, to the extent that we can push that forward ourselves or working with other committees like the Winter Maintenance Committee. Within the strategic plan, we identified 6 emerging and critical issues, as listed here: compounding events and new operational norms resulting from climate change. Short words for that could be extreme weather, right? We're knowing that things are different now, and we need to understand how things are changing to address that. Megadata, which is all about just recognizing that there's so much data around coming from, whether it's fixed RWIS sensors, from vehicles, from other data sources that we can harness to help us make better decisions, but it can be a challenge given the amount of data that's out there. Knowledge, information, and innovation created by multiple agencies, which is a fancy way of saying tech transfer. It's all about, how do we help other agencies deploy these solutions that are out there. Weather-based congestion, recognizing the impacts that weather has on transportation operations and how to alleviate that. Weather-based boundary conditions for connected and autonomous vehicle technologies. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And then the last is Road Weather Committee commitment to diversity. And again, very important to us that we have a wide range of views and people on our committee to address the challenges that we to resolve. Our triennial strategic plan comes to fruition in a little less than a year. April 2025 is when we will be reporting out on the results. So there's a lot of work going on within multiple working groups across each of these critical issues. And a lot of that work, it's happening in part because of the leadership of Sean Truelson and Mike Burton at Campbell, Sean at DTN, Mike at Campbell. They're leading these working groups that are understanding what we know, what we don't know, and what can we address within these areas. And out of this will come research problem statements to help us move the needle forward on all of these issues. So kudos to those two and to the members of the committee who are working in these working groups to identify these research needs, which, again, just to reiterate, one of the primary objectives of any TRB committee is to develop research problem statements, research needs statements, and that's what these working groups are doing. That's really the heart of what's going on right now with the committee. But I have a couple of slides now to share with everybody about a couple of recent conferences that have taken place that are certainly germane to the committee. The first is was the CERWIC 2024 conference. CERWIC being the Standing International Road Weather Commission. It's a group primarily of European countries that work together to address road weather challenges. They typically meet every other year, COVID notwithstanding, and this had the conference in June in Amsterdam. There were 21 presentations across the winter maintenance and road weather subjects. Anna and I presented on the TRB triple play, which I've spoken about before. You've heard, I imagine everyone's heard many, many times, but that was the webinar workshop. Webinar held in November of 2022, the workshop in January of 2023 at the annual meeting, and then our big TRB International Road Weather and Winter Maintenance Conference that was in May of 2023. So I presented with Anna on those activities to share with the European community the things that have been going on here, because there may not have been as much overlap and participation across the continents as we had hoped before. So a lot of interest in it. Actually, one of the most interesting things was our approach to the TRB conference of this flipped classroom approach, where we had the presentations recorded beforehand and then came together to talk about them. There was definitely interest in that approach, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that or a hybrid at the next SORWIC conference. My personal takeaways, this is just, as I'm looking through again my notes and the agenda, I'm always amazed at how many ARWIS ESS sensor stations there are deployed across Northern Europe, or across much of Europe. Where within the US, we often approach it as, how few do I possibly need to get by, and can I take some of those out? Because it costs a lot of money and there's a lot of maintenance. And we're certainly exploring the value of mobile sources of data between fixed sensor stations. And so that I would say that does not seem to be the same approach within Europe. There's still very much about, we need extensive coverage to really understand what's going on out there with high density of sensor stations, which remarkable in and of itself, and a little bit envious on some levels too, from my perspective. Also, AI was much more in the news there. I mean, I know we've talked a lot about artificial intelligence and winter maintenance and road weather within our groups, but I haven't actually seen it put into practice yet until I was at SORWIC, and I was seeing some, I would say, very early stages, exploring more of how to make the winter maintenance decisions based more on, like, what are my rules of practice, not what is the current condition that I need to do right now. I think the whole idea of using AI to monitor what current conditions are and then make treatment recommendations, there was nothing close to that I saw. In fact, I mean, what I really found interesting as well was through generative AI, there's a lot of great potential to reach into the depth of the data that's out there. But if the data is not out there, then it's not going to know it. And I'm thinking about some things like ARWIS sensor station data that might be behind a firewall. If a computer can't get to it, it's not going to be feeding into the AI processes either. And so they're not going to magically know what the road conditions are without having access to the critical data as well. So there's still a bit of a garbage in, garbage out type of a thing. If you don't have the right data going in, you're not going to have good decision support coming out. So that was, I think, very interesting things for sure. But so I'm excited about it, but also realize that there's still a long way to go before we're seeing anything that I think it would be practice. The other thing that struck me is most of the projects are funded and conducted by either the road administrations or the national meteorological agencies together. And that, compared to here, where most of the work seems to be done within the academic community, or it's not done like in-house. I mean, there would be like within the government transportation organization, they would be doing their own research, or within the National Meteorological Agency of any European country, they're actually trying out road weather modeling and doing exploring some road weather activities. Much more within the organizations themselves, not done outside. And that, I think, is of note. And I think a lot of value of having the practitioners right there in engaged with the research as it's being conducted. It keeps the research very applied as well, very, very focused on what their next questions are, what their needs are. And then as we are, they're actively exploring the opportunities and challenges associated with connected and automated vehicles. I can't say that I saw anything that was much different than what we're doing here in this on this continent, but definitely some interesting activity there. So there's a lot of other great work, and I believe them in the process of putting their slides and presentations posted on their website. I don't think it's available yet, but we certainly will share that once it becomes available. The other activity that just recently took place, as in last week, was for me, was the Automated Vehicles and Meteorology Summit that was sponsored by the American Meteorological Society. TRB, our committee was a co-sponsor of this event. This was 25th, 26th, 27th of June in Ann Arbor. And there was a great cross-section of speakers and participants between the meteorological and transportation community, except, again, for the OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers. We still struggle to get the manufacturers of the automated vehicles to the table, and yet recognize that there are many challenges that they're facing with regards to weather, and yet we can't seem to get them to come and talk to us about it. We did have somebody there from Ford. I should take that back. So that was good, and some interesting words there for sure. And again, in this case, it was mostly panel discussions with some brief presentations and then panel discussions across all aspects of automated vehicles and weather, looking at the data question, both collecting data off of the vehicles, as well as what information that needs to be presented back to the vehicles. And again, my personal takeaway, the things that I heard there was certainly a consensus that higher levels of automation will require connectivity, especially wireless links to the infrastructure. And I think that what we've been seeing so far within the AV community is a very stovepiped approach. It's like, okay, my BMW or my Cadillac Cruise or whatever, it gets all of its information wirelessly, of course, through the cloud, and whatever data and information that auto manufacturer is able to provide to it, when it comes to some specific conditions of the road and such. Not looking to how to get other information that may be of need to the vehicle in order to navigate through a conditions of poor visibility or something like that. So I think that there's a lot of work to do there to better understand how that connectivity is going to emerge. And I think things like the Federal Highway National Digital Infrastructure effort will help get to that point. Something certainly we need to be looking at as a group, but also other means of connectivity need to be explored further. And I would say need to fund more studies that look at the value of AVs as road weather data sources and how these observations fit into bigger observation networks. And I'm thinking about this particularly from those we had several people from the National Weather Service talk, particularly on the observation side of the house and analysis side, and it was really interesting. They're very, very interested in the topic, and I think they would be could be a really good repository for these observations to feed into their much bigger networks, and then how we can capitalize on all of that to provide this hyper local information, road weather information that's needed by the vehicles. The last thing I wanted to say was, again, just to remind everybody that all the lightning round sessions, the presentations at from the 2023 International Road Winter Maintenance Conference are posted online, these websites, so from TRB. So if you missed any of those presentations, want to go back to hear them again, they are available to you. A lot of really great information that was prepared last year. The other big thing that's going on within the committee is pushing to get an update to the seminal report, Where the Weather Meets the Road. This was published by the National Academies 20 years ago, and with some foresight by Federal Highway Administration looking to say, hey, maybe it's time we need to do this. Our committee's been engaged in a couple of activities to help further that conversation. We had a session at the TRB 2024 annual meeting. There was a NOCO webinar, and with the Talking Winter Ops podcast, we've been pushing this subject, and I think the general consensus seems to be yes, this is something that needs to be done. We should be pursuing this, given the many changes, like the emergence of the extreme weather events that wasn't really on our radar 20 years ago, and automated vehicles, which also were really not part of the conversation then. So again, we think the time is right to pursue a follow-up effort, which could be done in a number of different ways, such as through another consensus study, as the first one was done with TRB or the Board on Atmospheric Sciences and Climate, BASC, which is another part of the National Academies. The American Meteorological Society could do a policy study. We could have another summit. We could have a summit to focus on topics or other avenues. Anyway, but still hoping that this continues to gain traction and get some funding to do it, to revisit the key conversations held when this report was published. So that's all I've got to share with you. And I will say we will be having another virtual meeting this fall, and then we meet in person in January at the annual meeting. Our committee website is listed here, as is my contact information. Please feel free to contact me.
Great, Paul. Say, I've got a couple of questions for you.
Yes.
You talked about your membership diversity, and that's one of your strategic areas. How can folks get involved in TRB road weather?
Good question, and it's something I should have had here on the slide. First of all, anybody and everybody is welcome to become a friend of the committee. We have the committee membership, which is much more confined, and there's a lot of rules in terms of who can be members and all that sort of stuff that's set up by TRB. And the committee membership rotates every 3 years. So the last rotation, I believe, was in 2022. I can't even remember now.
I can't remember. I think I got rotated off last year.
Yeah.
So there's a percentage, I think, every
long.
year sort of comes and goes, right?
Yeah. So I don't know when the next iteration is. It might be coming up this coming spring, or January to April timeframe. I know that my role as chair will be coming to an end in April of 2025. So we don't yet have a new committee chair lined up, but my tenure, I will have served as chair for 6 years. I think it's time for some fresh perspectives and some fresh eyes to take the lead on this. But I certainly have been really enjoyed leading the committee. So I'm not done yet. I still have 9 months. It will end at some point.
Yeah. So to summarize, to become a friend of the committee, you go out to mytrb.org, right?
Yes. So right, so there's membership, there's committee members, and then there's committee friends. Again, anybody and everybody is welcome to become a friend. You need to set up a profile on mytrb.org. That's free. It's easy to do. And then once you have a MyTRB account, then you can find the committee and easily become a friend to the committee. We actually have some information to that end on the committee website, as I've got this website listed here, but it also should be pretty apparent if you go to mytrb.org and have your account. Would love to increase friendship. I've also got a page on LinkedIn called TRB Road Weather, where I will post information, or anybody welcome to post information about related activities. So
Okay, great. So I got one more question for you, Paul, and that deals with these research need. Is it a research needs statement, or is that what we call them these
Research,
days?
yeah, RNS, a research needs statement. Mhm.
Give us a little bit more about what this, what a research needs statement is, who can write one, and what happens once you have one.
Right. Okay. So good questions. A research needs statement is a way to more clearly define a research problem that needs to be addressed. We talk a lot, like as I've gone through there with, oh, we need to do research on AVs and weather or collecting data off of unrated vehicles. Well, that's fine to make that statement, but a research needs statement would take that and flesh out what that would really mean. What would be the objective of the research? What would be the intended outcomes? What would be a rough approach to addressing that, to doing that research? Um, and so it helps to define where the next steps that we need to go with regards to all the different subjects and topics that I've talked about through this time. Those research needs statements then go to a database at the national academies. And anybody and everybody is welcome to explore that database. And if they see a study that they want to fund, they can fund the study. That database also serves as an input to the NCHRP process. So if there's a particular need statement that an AASHTO committee was particularly interested in and would like to see funded, then that AASHTO committee working with Federal Highway Administration can then vote on it and decide whether to move it forward within the NCHRP process to get funded through NCHRP. NCHRP is a great research program, but it is not the only research program out there. It could be that we could get Federal Highway to fund the project themselves, or a university. There's other ways that these projects could be funded. Just NCRTP is one of those.
Okay, great. Paul, thanks for the update on TRB road weather. It always, as you go through the year, you kind of think, geez, what have we done? And then when you start thinking about it, it's like, yeah, tremendous amount of work has been done in the area.
Yeah, definitely making progress. And again, I would say that is due to the working groups and the members of the committee who are getting together on a regular basis to talk through those critical issues that I spoke of earlier, and will be reporting out on their research needs within April.
Right. And like I say, I keep going back to this friends of the committee. If you want to get involved, if you want to participate, if you want to be in the know, go be a friend and get on the mailing list, and you can work with the just because you're not a committee member doesn't mean you can't work with these subcommittees and provide input and provide some guidance from your perspective. So
Exactly.
I would really encourage folks to go become a friend of the committee.
Thanks, Rick. Yes, I second that.
So, Paul, we'll put your contact information. We'll put the links to your website. We'll put the links to your LinkedIn site, your LinkedIn page below this video so folks can have some easy access to do it. We'll also put it in the show notes so they can reach out to you to learn more about what's happening with respect to road weather at TRB. Now,
Excellent.
Now, you can listen to all the briefings and other Talkin' Winter Ops episodes on our website, talkinwinterops.com, or wherever you get your podcast content. Video versions are available on our Talkin' Winter Ops YouTube channel. Until next time, thanks for tuning in and stay safe out there.